All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We are back with another video, and yes, I am feeling better. And thanks for everybody inquiring on my health. I was really under the weather for the past several weeks, but feeling much better. So great to be back. In case you missed my last video, it is the unboxing of the latest Who with Orchestra performance, and it's really terrific. It's a terrific double CD with a Blu-ray. So anyway, I mentioned that I'd be back with my sort of odd ongoing series called Listening and Sleeving. Basically, this is, as you can see, some albums, some records in the back, and there's a few of those that don't actually have sleeves on the covers, because it's nice to keep your albums in sleeves. You know, for whatever reason, I'd pick up the album, you know, listen to it, shelve it if I didn't have sleeves at the time, or as I was between sleeves, that sort of thing, you know, waiting for another order of sleeves. And so I'd file it away and then maybe, you know, just forget that I didn't have a sleeve on it and then start sleeving new stuff. So anyway, listening and sleeving, it's kind of a random kind of thing. I've just been going through my record collection randomly, and as I mentioned, I was under the weather for the past several weeks, so I listened to a fair chunk from the collection, kind of doing a deep dive. So here we go. Let's get right to it. Off the top, we've got an American band, the Hooters, and this is Nervous Night, and this came out in 1985. Nice, pretty solid pop rock, some big hits, and we danced on this one. I do love the fact, can you remember back in the day, especially when we were making the conversion from LPs to, you know, cassettes were very popular, and then of course CDs coming out, how was often a bonus track on the cassette or bonus tracks on the CDs, and as they were sort of phasing vinyl out. But yeah, Hooters and Nervous Night. Canadian band I've always enjoyed. This is the band Harlequin and One False Move. And this one on Epic Records from 1982, produced by Jack Douglas, who produced a number of the Guess Who albums. This is a band I saw back in the day. They actually played my local area high school, not the high school I attended, but a high school in the area. And they actually had bussed kids over from the one school to that high school to watch the band. And I thought they put on just a great, very professional show. Kind of power rock, a lot of radio hits. Two on this one, I Did It for Love and Superstitious Feeling, which still get airplay today. But Harlequin and yes, One False Move. Watch your step there. Okay, we switch gears now with the late great Leon Redbone, and this is his debut. Of course, the cover by Chuck Jones, who did all the great work on those Warner Brothers cartoons. Of course, this is on the Warner Brothers label. And Leon Redbone just really had that kind of that incredible voice that fit so well into sort of the music and feel of songs from the 20s and 30s. So this is the debut album. This one not in the best of shape. I might need to get a replacement copy on that one. And I also have Leon Redbone from Branch to Branch. Again, it just kind of really puts you in a mood when you're listening to Leon Redbone music. Okay, switching gears once again, how about Romeo Void? I forgot how much I really enjoyed this album. This is the album Instincts, and the big hit on this one, A Girl in Trouble is a Temporary Thing. And this on 415 Records under CBS Columbia. And yeah, really enjoyed this album. Okay. And switching gears once again, Quiet Riot and Metal Health. And this features Kevin DuBrow, now sadly passed away. And of course, Come On Feel the Noise, which is their cover of a Slade track. And I did forget that Kevin DuBrow, he really does have had a good voice for this music, that real sort of Noddy Holder kind of voice. Not quite naughty, but good vocalist for this music. And found myself really enjoying this one, and this on CBS Records from, gosh, 1983. But my gosh, their cover of Come On Feel the Noise and the title track, Metal Health, was you know, a big hit as well. Okay, again, switching gears, how about the amazing Leon Russell and Americana. Just another fantastic, gosh, I mean, you want to talk about an underrated artist, is definitely Leon Russell. Is just his whole mix of music, you know, with Southern styles of music. It's just, he is so good. He was such a great artist. Okay, kind of a relatively unknown band. Now, this is an American-based band fronted by a Canadian. The band is the King Bees, and they have that sort of blues R&B kind kind of sound, fronted by a fellow by the name of Jamie James, great name. And they had a hit called My Mistake, which is a great kind of grooving kind of track. It's great kind of party music to put on, sort of blues R&B, kind of fun, almost in that Fabulous Thunderbirds kind of vein. But it qualifies as Canadian content because Jamie James fronts the band and writes the music. So the song My Mistake even still gets some radio play today on some classic stations. But if you can find this one, definitely pick it up. I'm sure you can find it pretty inexpensively, and a nice record. Okay, another American band. This is Legs Diamond, and this is Firepower. And this came out in 1978. Again, really kind of rock album. But I do like the band lineup and their names. Tell me if these are their real names. Mike Prince, Jeff Poole, Mike Diamond, Rick Sanford, and Roger Romeo. Maybe one or two of them are their real names. But yeah, enjoyed that album. Todd Rundgren, Back to the Bars. This is a Todd Rundgren double live album. And again, with Todd Rundgren, there's always, an incredible mix of music. He does a number of covers on this one. He does kind of like a medley of old tunes, like La La Means I Love You, Ooh Baby Baby. And of course, he also does It Wouldn't Have Made Any Difference. And yeah, it's a nice live Todd Rundgren album. Okay, early, Jerry Rafferty. I do believe this is at least his first, if not early, solo album. This is Jerry Rafferty, Can I Have My Money Back? Quite the cover. Of course, those Jerry Rafferty covers would be quite the illustrations. And as I recall the timeline on this, now he works with Joe Egan on this one, and then I believe they would form Steelers Wheel, and then Steelers Wheel would break up, and then he'd go back to a solo career. But this is really kind of a very soft, almost kind of easy listening, kind of folk rock kind of thing. It's not the big, swirl of Baker Street, but yeah, early Jerry Rafferty. Okay, this album I do believe is being reissued for the upcoming Record Store Day. This is Susie Quattro, and the album is simply called Quattro. And it's Susie Quattro. What can I say? It rocks from start to finish. Now the cover is not great, and it's got some tape on here, and this tape just won't come off. But yeah, being reissued for Record Store Day. I don't know if they're doing bonus tracks or another disc. I think they are for the Record Store Day release. But Susie Quattro rocks from start to finish. Okay, Ricky Lee Jones and the album Pirates, this 1981. I still find a hard time connecting with this album. This is the one that came after the Chucky's in Love album. This one a little bit more somber, a little bit more thoughtful, if you will, but I'm going to have to still give this one a few more spins because I just found a difficult time connecting with this particular album. Ricky Lee Jones, great artist. Okay, another Canadian band. This is Prism, and is this simply self-titled album? Yeah, Prism are often referred to as Spaceship Superstar because that is the big hit on this one. This was kind of a power rock band. They were also known for a number of ballads. Ron Tabak was the lead vocalist, who sadly has passed away, but he had just a great voice, particularly for ballads, but he could still do rock and stuff like Spaceship Superstar. Also, Take Me to the Captain was a big hit on this one. And I keep forgetting that Tom Lavin was a part of this band, and Tom Lavin later went on to form Powder Blues Band. But Prism, it's pop rock, and yeah, there you go. Okay, how about some early REO Speedwagon? And this is without Kevin Cronin on lead vocals, who was with the band initially, left for a bit, and then came back. And it's interesting for this band. I mean, they're from Illinois, I believe, but they really do have that southern rock kind of thing. And Gary Richrath on guitar. Mike Murphy was the vocalist for a couple of albums. And yeah, I mean, I do like the early REO Speedwagon, both with or without Kevin Cronin, before they really got heavily into ballads. But yeah, good stuff there. Okay, and of course a classic from the Marshall Tucker Band. This is Carolina Dreams, and this is a nice gatefold, and of course this features the big radio hit Heard It in a Love Song. Sometimes with Marshall Tucker Band, it is southern rock, but sometimes it does feel like light southern rock, but maybe just with this particular album, because their live album, and this band certainly can rock. But yeah, great stuff here with on Capricorn Records, which was a great label for a number of southern rock bands. Okay, I forgot what a nice album this is. This is and I hadn't realized this is the debut for Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina. So it's Kenny Loggins with Jim Messina and Sittin' In. And it's just a lovely album. You know, Kenny Loggins, great vocalist, and it's got Danny's song, which would be covered by Anne Murray, and it's also got the House on Pooh Corner. Again, you know, it almost kind of feels like the beginnings of yacht rock times, if you will. It does have that kind of slight feel to it, but it's a really, you know, enjoyable listen and an enjoyable album. And, you know, they'd have a number of albums together, and this one came out in 1976. Okay, I was surprised how much I enjoyed this one. This is the Knack, but the little girls understand. This is the follow-up to the My Sharona album, or Get the Knack. Not a lot of big hits on this one, interestingly enough, but you know, the band could rock, and they really did have a tip of the hat to the sort of 50s or rock and roll style. But I was pleasantly pleased with this album in terms of sort of a retro listen, and it's got the original sleeve there, and there you go. Get the Knack, but then we continue with But the Little Girls Understand. Okay, this is a posthumous Jimi Hendrix album. This is actually a Dutch press on this one. This is Jimi Hendrix War Heroes, produced by Eddie Kramer. Nice, again, when they were sort of, you know, piecemealing, or, you know, a little bit of extra songs here and there from the songs that had not been released or even fully recorded, as we would get this on album after album after album. But this one generally works, War Heroes. It doesn't feel like it's a ton of filler, but it was a good album. Okay, we've got Isaac Hayes, who had so many records, and this is Don't Let Go. I don't know why the previous owner felt the need to color in the O there, but this is getting into late 70s, 1979 on Polygram, so Isaac Hayes is really starting to get into that kind of disco-y funk, but it's Isaac Hayes, so, you know, it's still enjoyable. Okay, we've got Jefferson Airplane and Bark, another great Jefferson Airplane album. Unfortunately, with this one, I think this was initially housed in some sort of like paper sleeve, and this one doesn't have that, and it's also missing a number of the inserts. It does have the one insert that I can show you that features sort of the song listing and the what you can do with the bag. But of course, this is actually missing the bag, but at least it's got this with the song listings and that sort of thing. So yeah, Jefferson Airplane and Bark. Okay, we switch gears once again. How about Kool and the Gang as One? And I think this might have been perhaps some sort of a radio copy or a library copy. And of course, unfortunately, that covers up the band there. Not a lot of big hits on this one. This one was on D-Light Records. And I've always been amazed how many guys were in the band. Like, I wonder how they made any money with this many guys in the band. But, you know, they had some hits already up until this point. This came out in 1982, but then more hits were still to come. Kool and the Gang. Often, sometimes an underrated soul band, but boy, they really had a good sound, you know, and, you know, big hits, but they're definitely worth re-exploring. Okay, how about the band Brand X? And this is the album Product. And you may not know or recall, but Phil Collins was a member with this band. He wasn't on every single album with this group. This band was very much kind of hard to define. A lot of instrumentals, but some vocals. Phil Collins does a few vocals on this one. Anywhere between jazz fusion, even prog rock, really full on in terms of musicianship. Usually you can find Brand X albums pretty inexpensively, but they're worth checking out because there is some great musicianship on here. And again, Phil Collins, you know, the workaholic of the rock and roll world, was just about on every single recording out there, and including this one. But this album in particular is quite a good one. Okay, how about a Greatest Hits compilation? This is ELO's Greatest Hits. So this one is one of those kind of single albums. Even if you're not big in ELO, you could easily pick this one up and kind of cover all the bases, as you can see with the song listings there, of course, featuring the amazing Jeff Lynne. But, you know, so many great songs, so many great radio hits. ELO Greatest Hits. Nice little single album, Greatest Hits. Okay, how about the debut for Pat Benatar? Nice to see Pat Benatar finally inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And if you haven't spun Pat Benatar in a while, you forget, man, rock and roll, like just rock, and when it kicks off with Heartbreaker, you know, like you're in for a good ride here. And then her song covering John Cougar Mellencamp's "I Need a Lover," and yeah, so many great songs throughout this record. "We Live for Love," I mean, and just a real refreshing from I want to say 1978 or 1979 on Chrysalis. And just when this album came out, remember when this record came out, and it was just like, wow, amazing. Pat Benatar. And last but not least, how about Queen? And again, this is from my listening and sleeving collection. I didn't have a sleeve for this one until now. This is Queen and Jazz, and still a very enjoyable album. Certainly a slightly different take or a direction for Queen to be going after all, the big 70s epic radio hits. But Fat Bottom Girls, Bicycle Race, which was a different song that came out. And this does contain all the goodies. With the nice, very cool gatefold cover. This includes the original sleeve, if I can get that out. And without opening it up too much, this one does include, this is not a reissue, but this does include the original poster. And yeah, so there you go. Without showing it too much there. Okay, that's again the listening and sleeving. I guess I'm going to have to re-sleeve a few of those records and put them away. And so again, yeah, thanks for dropping by, and we'll chat again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.